All right, here's the fun story. Danny Jansen, if you've heard of him, backup catcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, was traded to the Red Sox mid-season at the deadline. Actually having a good season, by the way. Danny Jansen, for what it's worth, he's kind of had an up and down career with Toronto. He's having a good season. So kudos to him, but he gets traded to the Red Sox. Red Sox needed a catcher. Blue Jays didn't need him. They were kind of selling at the deadline a little bit, kind of half selling. Actually, the Blue Jays have been hot lately, and they won both games today against Boston. But Danny Jansen made history for a really cool reason. First player ever to play for both teams in the same game. How about that? It's a weird looking box score. I'll tell you what, it is a weird looking box score. The Blue Jays, by the way, they are now almost back to 500. Almost. They are now up to 65 and 68. They play today against Boston. Have they already played? They are currently playing. So they're almost back to 500, though. They've won, I think, 7 in a row, 6 in a row, something like that. Too little, too late, but it's kind of cool. But this game in particular for Toronto. So it was postponed, rain delay, halfway through the game. Danny Jansen was the starting catcher in this game. He was the starting catcher, and he didn't even have a plate appearance by the time the game had been suspended, but he did start in the field. And then he was traded to Boston. They hadn't finished the game yet. They hadn't resumed the game yet. So now they resume the game. The Blue Jays obviously have to pinch hit for Danny Jansen. He can't go back out there and resume his place in the lineup. He was batting 7th. So the Blue Jays, they bring in Dalton Varsho, and he is now batting 7th and playing center field. And they kind of changed everything around because then they had Brian Serven playing catcher, batting leadoff, and they moved. They took Bichette out of there because I think he's hurt maybe. And then they had Jimenez at shortstop for Kiermaier, who also isn't on the team anymore. So they changed a bunch of things around. But either way, Jansen no longer on the Blue Jays. He had started the game at catcher. He had caught the first inning. I think the first 2 innings maybe. And then it got delayed. Now he's a member of the Red Sox. And so the Red Sox are like, well, this is kind of cool. They pinch hit Danny Jansen. And he ends up getting 4 at-bats for the Red Sox in a game that he started as the catcher for the Blue Jays. How funny is that? He went 1 for 4 with a strikeout, and he caught the rest of the game for Boston, and he made history. Now, the fact that this has never happened before is kind of strange. I would think that, like, in all of baseball's years, in 120-something years of organized Major League Baseball, you'd think that this has happened before. It hasn't. First guy ever. So there's never been a guy who's been traded to the same team at the deadline that there had been a rain delay. Like, that just feel like, really? Never? Or maybe there was, but they just never took advantage of the opportunity to let him play in both games. I don't know. That just blows my mind. Like, there's never been before a guy who got traded to the team that his team had been in a rain delay with, and they're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's let him play. I don't know. That's crazy. But it is cool that Danny Jansen did it, and it is pretty cool that he's the first guy ever to do it. But what a weird box score that's going to be, because he's literally in the box score for both teams.